The lesson.
Oh, yeah.
That was 2016 when you dropped Chinatown Champ. It's around that period that you've started writing about Aussie artists. 2017, you interviewed Craig David. And then I've got listed here 2018, you did an interview with the Kid LAROI in Sydney. Two questions. Number one, how did the Kid LAROI interview come about and how was that experience? Obviously, he wasn't the superstar back then that he is right now. And B, was that your first Australian artist interview or you'd done a few before that one?
Oh, no, I'd definitely done a few before that. I'd done, like I was saying before, kind of like all the One Day Boys, Forte, I'd interviewed. By 2018, I'd probably interviewed even like some of the other guys like Chill and Husky and stuff. I'm not sure, it's like that whole period kind of blurs in my head, but yeah, no, it definitely wasn't the first Australian interview I did. I was kind of, 2017, 2018 when I was tapping more into the Australian stuff. Kid LAROI happened before this latest wave of kind of like, the guys who blew up from 50-50 or Get Bodied or anything like that. The kind of artists who were kind of taking it to that next level, it was kind of like Manu Crooks, Blessed, who was maybe even called Miracle back then, I'm not sure, but those kind of guys. And, I was a massive, massive fan of that whole sound when that came out. Manu Crooks' stuff slapped on records, slapped in the clubs, and he's still doing his thing now, so shout out to him. Manu was having a launch party for his first EP. The Mood Forever EP. He was having a launch for that. And I remember I rocked up to the party. It was at the studios out in Alexandria. I rocked up to the party and I was walking up the stairs and this little kid came up to me and like he was just walking around and doing whatever. And I said to my friend being like, oh, this must be some record exec's son or like, just a young fan of Manu Crooks or something. Someone probably brought along their little brother. Like, you know what I mean? Had no idea who he was. And then I remember that there was heaps of rooms in the studio. This was the DB studios back in the day. There was like maybe 5 or 6 rooms, and then it was too noisy. So I went into one of the rooms. I was sitting down. I was making a call on my phone, and then I hung up the phone. And the Kid LAROI walked in. I had no idea who he was. And he was like, "Oh, you're Kev, yeah?" And I was like, "Yeah. What's going on? How are you?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, no, I love your track Chinatown Champs." And I was like, "Yeah, how the hell did you hear that? Because, yeah, you're like 10. You're like 10 years old or something." He was probably 13. I don't know how old he was. Probably 13 or something or whatever. And then we just started chopping it up. And I didn't even know he rapped at that point and then said bye to him, whatever. And then I think after that, over the next couple of months, you saw him hanging out with, that crew, Manu Crooks, B-Wise, quite a lot. And then he started making a bit of a name for himself. He got put on, I think he played with Manu Crooks at Listen Out. He got put on the Triple J Festival in Tasmania, One Night Stand, I think it's called, or whatever it's called. Yeah, and he started picking up a bit of traction. And then, I interviewed, he had the 14 with a Dream EP. He put that out, and then I interviewed him for Acclaim. And I also made a little doco on him with Life of That Andy. That's cool. Like that was really cool. We got to do that. I actually still have the sound recording of the interview I did with him. I remember Ricky, who now manages 1-4. He was looking after LAROI at the time. And I've known Ricky for like 10 years, like we're friends. And we went down, I think we met at Clem's, which is like LAROI's favorite like chicken shop down in Newtown. I think we got some Clem's and then we went down to the park and I did an interview with him. And I kind of asked him being like, who are 3 other Aussie artists you think are gonna blow up? And I think he said Chillin' It, Triple One, and someone else. And it's just like a trip out to hear him say all this stuff, you know what I mean? And then we did the doco on him, which was crazy because we have all this early footage of, we picked him up from school and we did interviews down at the house in Mascot, which is where Travi P and JD, who's now known as IE, that's where they stayed, and they recorded a lot of that music there. I think Solo, who produced a lot of 1-4 stuff, he lived there as well. And we did an interview in the house, and then we went to one of his gigs. So it's just cool to capture those early days, especially on video. Back then, like not that many people did video content. Definitely not as common as nowadays. So I'm really glad we got that on camera, and it's somewhere on the internet now. But yeah, it's just crazy to look back on all that sort of stuff and still have those voice recordings and stuff, because it's obviously he's like, you know, one of the biggest artists in the world now. Yeah, so shout out to him, man.
And that was, I guess, my next question is, I mean, Kid LAROI, I don't think it's even debatable. He is the biggest like rap act out of Australia ever. Which for me sounds weird for me to say it out loud, because being from Adelaide and seeing what the Hilltop Hoods have done, I always kind of thought that's it. Like, you know, no one from Australia doing rap is going to take it any bigger than these guys. These guys are doing 10, 12,000 person stadiums, 5 stadiums across the country. So I'm like, that's a wrap. Chilling It comes through. He's doing massive, massive things, but it's still not quite those Hilltop Hood numbers in terms of, you know, ticket sales. And then, bang, the Kid LAROI, he's international now. Like, he's bigger than the Hilltop Hoods. You know, he's marketable overseas, and yeah, now he's huge, not just as an Australian act, but in the global market, he's just a big act altogether. Now, as someone who interviewed him, you know, 4 years ago, and now he's at where he's at now, what do you feel are the main things that have contributed to his success?
Just his hustle, man. It's like, it wasn't like, from the interviews and stuff, I got the sense that, you know, he's a very switched on kid, obviously very talented, and all that. I mean, there's a lot of young guys who are talented, you know, vocally. You know, now they're getting younger and younger, especially after LAROI, because people have seen what happened. A lot of kids are good at singing and doing this and doing that, but like his hustle was insane. Like, I remember like just seeing him out at parties. Like, I'm like, how are you out this late? It's like 11 o'clock. Like, go to bed, you know what I mean? But, you know, like seeing him at parties, just networking, talking to the right people, doing this, doing that. Personally, I remember with 111, we supported Lil Xan. And I didn't know LAROI well at all at this point. This probably would have been 2018, I believe. I remember looking at my phone. I had 30 missed calls on my phone. Random number, had no idea who it was. Like, get a text message. Hey man, it's LAROI. I'm waiting outside the Metro Theatre. I can't get in. Like, do you reckon you could, like, you know, sneak me in? Because I really need a freestyle for Lil Xan. And I'm kind of like, man, it's obviously at that age, you don't understand how tours work. It's not always like, when you're at the support act, you're not always buddy-buddy with the headliner, you know what I mean? Lil Xan was off the other side of the venue, not talking to us, you know what I mean? But like, he was out there, and then he actually managed to get my friend's lanyard, and he came in. I'm pretty sure he actually met up with Lil Xan, and I heard heaps of those stories, like him sneak up to the hotel of, you know, like Sway Lee and Ray Shremmerd, him waiting outside the hotel to freestyle for Ben Simmons. Like, you know, all these sort of things, like just crazy, crazy hustle. Like, you could just tell he wanted it so bad, you know what I mean? And I don't know where he got that from, whether that was, you know, a manager pushed him, or like that's just instilled in him. Like, the drive was just so insane. And I think that's been so critical to his success. And, you know, obviously as well, he's like a crazy songwriter, you know, like his hooks are just like so addictive and all that. Like, but I really do think it's his hustle which really gave him that kind of like X factor. And obviously it's worked, you know, like, I never thought, like, I always knew he was like incredibly talented. You know, I've always supported him from the first day, but to see him literally become, you know, the number one on Billboard, you know, like you said, like, I never thought it would have happened this quick. So it's just like testament to his drive and, yeah, how much he was waiting outside hotel rooms and connecting with the right people, man. It's just crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
The lesson. 927. Oh, yeah.